Today let's talk about growing Alpine strawberries from seed. You can see the disappointing experience last night of getting some delicious red juicy strawberries from the grocery store and biting into them full of anticipation, only to find that they were pretty tasteless and flavorless, and they just didn't have that strawberry kick that I was looking for. Growing your own strawberries from home is one way to help solve that problem, and there are lots of good varieties of strawberries to try that have nice big juicy berries. But today we're going to be talking about something that's even a little more specialized, called the Alpine strawberries. Alpine strawberries tend to be small, about the size of my pinky fingertip, maybe an inch or so, and they have a very different flavor. They're very intense. They have a great strawberry flavor and aroma, and growers in Europe have been growing these commercially and selling them to gourmet restaurants who really appreciate the quality of the fruit over other qualities like how it looks on the store shelf and whether it's shippable long distances and things like that. So that's the nice thing about growing a lot of our own food from home, is that we can enjoy these healthy, tasty, flavorful varieties that we're just not going to be able to find at the grocery store. Now, when I was looking for Alpine strawberries, I actually looked for plants and or seed. I didn't really care. In a number of strawberry catalogs or plant catalogs that I subscribed to or had bought plants from before that I found online. And really the one place that I found my secret source of strawberry seeds and plants was kind of a home gardener guy, specialty nursery guy, and his website is thestrawberryseedstore.com. I'll try to put a link to that below when I post this video, but he's who I ended up ordering from, and he has so much information on his website. He actually lists about 25 different varieties of Alpine strawberries and his ratings on different scales, like whether or not they produce runners, whether they make yellow strawberries or red strawberries, and his impression of the flavor and the productivity and that type of a thing. So, and he actually recommended going after the yellow fruited strawberries because they taste great. There are actually some with a pineapple flavor, and in addition, the birds don't like them as much. So if you have problems with bird predation, oftentimes when they see that red color, the birds fly down. It kind of sends them into overdrive, but when they see a white or yellow fruit, they're not as excited because they don't think it's ripe yet. So if you actually have a fruit that's yellow when it's ripe, then you're going to escape from a lot of that bird frenzy. So this package just came in the mail. This is from the Strawberry Seed Store, and we're going to open it together and see what's inside. You guys should be aware, if you're ordering seeds through the mail, it's May now, which we've started to get some warm days here in Seattle. So if you live in an area where it gets warm and you're expecting either seeds in the mail or plants by mail order, make sure that you have an idea of when those are going to be coming so you can get them out of your mailbox as quickly as possible. I'm hoping that these did not cook in my mailbox before I get a chance to plant them. So I did go grab them out of there and put them in the refrigerator, but it was after they had been in for a warm afternoon. So I'm hoping that they're still good. And the Strawberry Seed Store actually tests all of their seed for viability before they send it out. Strawberry seeds aren't it can be hard to sprout them. They're not an easy beginner's seed. So you're not going to get 100% germination in any event. I think they test for 60 or 70% germination is considered pretty good. So when we plant these, we won't expect all of them to grow, but we're going to give them everything we can in order to help start them off right. And strawberry seeds, Alpine strawberries in particular, require a stratification period, so try to find out from your source if they're ready to plant. Most commercial growers would, I think, take care of this, but if you end up propagating your own strawberries from seeds and fruits that you collect from your garden, they require a cold stratification period of several months in the freezer or the refrigerator, so make sure that you look into that if you collect your own seeds to grow. If you're buying them from the strawberry seed store, that's already taken care of. So, as I haven't opened these yet, so I'm kind of excited to see, but the packaging isn't fancy. This sort of looks like something that he does from home, and I've seen on YouTube he has, it looks like kind of a basement set up with big flood tables of strawberries where he propagates these, but this is what they look like on the front, just a simple label, and they don't have a lot of seeds in them. I think this one has, it says 15 seeds, and it was tested with an 84% germination rate. This one has a tenth of a gram of seeds, and it was tested to have a 92% germination rate. And that germination rate is important because when you're planting them out, I had one planting option here. This is certainly not necessary. I picked this up at Home Depot for about 10 bucks, and it's a burpee seed starting kit. This is probably what I'll end up using for the video, but it comes with a peat pellet. You just add water and it expands. It's a soilless mix that fills these planting trays. And that the reason that I got it was because it comes with a propagation dome, which is a clear plastic lid that's going to keep the humidity high. Strawberries need light from either a sunny window or being outside or fluorescent light. They need light in order to germinate. So you can't really bury them deep in the ground, and it's easy for them to dry out, which you don't want. So keeping the moisture level appropriately high while exposing them to light is kind of the plan here. But going back to the germination rate, if we plant 10 cells with strawberry seeds, if it has a 50% germination rate, we would only expect about half of them to grow. If it has an 80% germination rate, you could expect 80 of them to grow. So depending on your resources in terms of space in your cells, if you notice that one of the strawberries has a particularly low germination rate, or if you're selling them and it's important for you to get a plant in each cell, then you might want to put 2 or 3 seeds into each cell just to make sure, optimize your chances of having something growing in that cell. On the other hand, if you have a rare and expensive variety and you're only getting 15 seeds in the whole envelope, then you might want to give each seed its own cell, so that way you're not wasting half the seeds by clipping away seedlings that sprouted, but for which there's no room to grow in the cell. So those are some things to keep in mind. So these Alpine strawberries, I didn't get very many because these are sort of specialty varieties, and then these ones have a nice picture on the front. That might be this is the only one with a picture, but it has the yellow strawberries on it, so you can kind of get a feel for what the strawberries look like in general and the yellow strawberries in particular. So this is kind of the setup. This is what we're going to do. I'll walk you through getting this germination kit going, and we'll set these up. But it's a 72 cell tray, and in each of these cells they have a little round peat pellet. Essentially, this is peat, which is an organic material, and it's dried and compressed, and when we pour water on it, it's going to expand to fill the cell. It's actually divided up into 2 trays, which is a little bit more convenient. Then we have this plastic dome, which will fit on the top like that. That helps keep the humidity high inside. And we have this tray. This is so you can put it on your counter or your kitchen table or wherever you're working. And any drips that come through, these have holes on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. Holes for the water to leak out, and we want that to leak and stay in the tray and not get all over our house. And it also comes with fancy paper. It's a plantogram, so we can actually map out which variety of seeds we have in each given area. So this is a pretty easy setup. It'll end up going like this on the windowsill once it's been filled with plants. Now it's time to fill our seed starting kit with water. This kit requires 13.5 cups of warm water. So each of these is a 4-cup measuring. So I'm going to use about 3.5 of these. And I'm sure it's going to be a little messy. So it's kind of impressive to see the volume of water that this can hold, if it can hold 3 of these. I'm filling each one about halfway to start with, and the water is just running down through the hole for the most part. They're already starting to puff up a little bit. And some of them are floating out of alignment. It seems like they have a tendency to want to turn on their sides, but they won't be able to expand all the way if they're turned on their sides. So I'm going to have to rotate some of those by hand. Okay, 4 cups down. Let me fill this with more water. Now I'm using my Brita water filter water. You don't have to do that, obviously. But if you have a lot of chlorine in your water, it might be a good idea, especially if you're working with sensitive plants. None of them really likes chlorine. Let me just show you. Let me show you how things are looking so far. So this one is popping up in the right direction. They're still kind of dry and powdery. This one expanded sideways, and there's space above and below. It's not going to fill it quite right. So I'm trying to reorient it. Seems like they're kind of breaking. But I'll try to get these going vertically if possible. So you can kind of see this is what the pellets look like before they expand. Like a big horse-sized vitamin pill. And then this is what they look like with just some of the water on them. So I'll keep pouring and we'll see how it goes. It's not splashing too bad. It was kind of splashing out when I was getting started, so I'm trying to be not pouring it on the wall in between the cells quite so much, because that's where I was splashing it. And remember, there's a tub down here that's probably getting filled with water, so all the water that goes out of the cells in the bottom of the hole is going down into that catch tray, so my wooden table won't be getting wet. Time to get more water. I'll be right back. Now it's time to fill our seed starting kit with water. This kit requires 13.5 cups of warm water. So each of these is a 4-cup measuring. So I'm going to use about 3.5 of these. And I'm sure it's going to be a little messy. So it's kind of impressive to see the volume of water that this can hold, if it can hold 3 of these. I'm filling each one about halfway to start with, and the water is just running down through the hole for the most part. They're already starting to puff up a little bit. And some of them are floating out of alignment. It seems like they have a tendency to want to turn on their sides, but they won't be able to expand all the way if they're turned on their sides. So I'm going to have to rotate some of those by hand. Okay, 4 cups down. Let me fill this with more water. Now I'm using my Brita water filter water. You don't have to do that, obviously. But if you have a lot of chlorine in your water, it might be a good idea, especially if you're working with sensitive plants. None of them really likes chlorine. Let me just show you. Let me show you how things are looking so far. So this one is popping up in the right direction. They're still kind of dry and powdery. This one expanded sideways, and there's space above and below. It's not going to fill it quite right. So I'm trying to I'm trying to reorient it. It seems like they're kind of breaking. We'll try to get these going vertically if possible. So you can kind of see this is what the pellets look like before they expand. Like a big horse-sized vitamin pill. And then this is what they look like with just some of the water on them. So I'll keep pouring and we'll see how it goes. It's not splashing too bad. It was kind of splashing out when I was getting started, so I'm trying to be not pouring it on the wall in between the cells quite so much, because that's where I was splashing it. And remember, there's a tub down here that's probably getting filled with water, so all the water that goes out of the cells in the bottom of the hole is going down into that catch tray, so my wooden table won't be getting wet. Time to get more water. I'll be right back. Alright, this is the third pitcher of water, so we're going to be up to about 12 cups after this. And this one might have been about half a cup shy when I started, so we'll need 2 more cups of water after I go through this one. And you can see over here some of these peat pellets have gotten so big that they're puffing up out of their cells. And these don't have to be exactly perfect in each cell because the water runs through the bottom and equalizes down in the flood tray down below. Okay, so this is my last couple cups of water. I'm filling the last few cells. And I'm just going to go back and see if anything else looks particularly short or dry. Peat is not necessarily the recommended seed starting mix for strawberries. It can tend to dry out, and since these are going to be so shallow on the surface, it's especially important that we not let that happen. So another good idea would be a mix of sand and perlite, sand and vermiculite, peat moss. I guess that could have the drying out tendency. This is basically pure peat moss. So if you're using that in a flat or a tray, it's a good idea to mix it with something else that retains water a little better. If you go to any garden store, I'm sure they'd have a seed starting soilless sterile mixture that you could use. This is just a kit that I happen to have for starting vegetable seedlings, so we're going to give it a try. Now I'm just sort of breaking these up, and we'll wait a few more minutes. It looks like there's water at the bottom of these cells still, so we'll give it a few minutes and see if it continues to soak up and expand on its own and get ready for potting without my needing to add any additional water. So I'll check back with you in a few minutes. Okay, it's been about 10 or 15 more minutes, and on this half of the flat I've kind of used my hands to break up and loosen this, and on this side of the flat I haven't, and you can see some of these have expanded, and this one is even like popping out of there. But then some of them still seem kind of small and stuck. So I think what I'm going to do is use a pencil to kind of break these up and make sure that they're soft and filling out the area. And then we'll go ahead and plant. And look, this one is spongy. You could see there's quite a bit of water in there. This one is about half full of water. And this one, there's not water till down where my finger is. So we'll get that soil evened out and the moisture level evened out, and then we'll plant, and it suggests another light watering before putting on the dome cap. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take my pencil and just poke it into here, kind of mix and stir, make sure that it's broken up. Some of these that are positioned sideways seem to be under a lot of tension and kind of like hanging in between the top walls of it and not even getting down into the water below. So, and it's interesting, I would have thought the water would be at an even level throughout the bottoms of these, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So anyway, we'll just break it up and make sure that they each seem to have soil going all the way to the top. And I think for some of these where the soil level seems low, I think it's a matter of the peat being so compressed that it's not really able to expand easily, and or it's not making good contact with the water below. These pellets seem to be oriented to expand directionally. So if they weren't oriented right, they might not be expanding properly. So I'm sure on the burpee website video this looks a little easier, but this is real life in the trenches, product testing and reporting before your eyes. So, but I think this will end up being good. The soil is very light and fluffy, should be easy to penetrate into. A peat mix like this is a little acidic, which strawberries prefer. Other plants that prefer acid include blueberries and cranberries, but you don't know if you want to propagate those from seeds. You could use a setup similar to this to try to root cuttings, and it's a good idea to use a propagation dome or even a plastic bag when you're rooting cuttings as well, to keep the humidity level high. Basically, you don't want the plants to dry out before they've had a chance to establish roots that are strong enough to soak up moisture on their own. Alright, so let me get this finished up and then we'll start planting the seeds. Most alpine strawberries don't have runners, and they spread with basically forming multiple crowns at the base. So if you ever need to propagate them, you can pull out the plant and kind of divide it into different crowns and then plant those out separately. And with some of these more rare varieties, I only have one packet of seeds per variety, but I'm hoping to grow them in containers this year, and when we move to our new house, I'm hoping to be able to get some divisions so that we can spread them out and have a nice edible ground cover for the yard. Now let me show you here the way we've set up the plant journal. So this is one planting square, and this is the planting journal that Burpee has included. Now obviously you could make your own very easily, but it's basically a map of 6 by 6 squares, and each square represents one box here, and you can write what you're planting and the date and any other information that you need. And since these are squares, you know, you could get confused depending on how you're looking at your tray and those types of things. So I suggest that you label your tray. I've put a piece of masking tape that says top left on the tray, and I've also labeled the map top left so that I know when I'm looking at these together, here's the top left and here's the top left, so you don't get misoriented. And as you know from eating strawberries, the seeds are tiny, so these aren't like bean seeds. These are going to be hard to get a hold of. I have this white paper here so we can see them and catch them, but okay, that's it. 15 or more seeds. $5 worth of strawberry seeds right there. I'm not sure how much this cost, but these are the Rudluvan woodland strawberry seeds, and you can just even poke them with your finger and get it to stick onto your finger. That's the way that I tend to do it. Another thing that you could do is to fold these up in the crack and kind of pour and tip them down like that. And another thing you can do is to kind of help them along with the pencil. And you could even dip your pencil in water, and you could probably get these to adhere to the pencil. So these are very small. I'm going to plant just 1 or 2 seeds in each hole because I don't have very many of them. These are a rare and expensive variety, so I'm going to try to make the most of each seed that I have here by planting them. 1 in a cell. Okay, let's see. Wish me luck. Now I can't tell what's a seed and what's peat moss on here. Alright, so I've got about 5 stuck to my finger. I'm just going to do 1. So my goal, I only have 72 of these planting cells. So I'm thinking that I'm going to do 12 cells of each variety. So if I end up actually planting just 1 seed in each hole, rather than having 5 stick to my finger and all of those going in a clump, then we'll have a few extra. And you can save your strawberry seeds in the refrigerator for next season, or you can freeze them, but the germination rate will be worse and worse each year, but it can be done. I mean, you can save the seeds for like 6 years. The strawberry seed store guy mentioned he'd grown seeds that were 6 years old, but it tends to be a case of fresher is better, so that's not the recommended way to go if you have capacity for more seeds. We used a method similar to this to propagate some basil seeds for my kids, and those seeds germinated in about 2 or 3 days. So I'm feeling good about our warm sunny window being good for the plants. But we'll see. These I expect could take up to a month, and it's May 6th here when we're doing this, which is probably much later in the season than we should ideally be doing it, but I'm not anxious to get fruit this year. I just want to get them started again so that when we move to our new house, we can have plants that can go in the ground. I looked at buying plants that were ready to go, and they were $4 or $5 for a plant rather than $4 or $5 for a packet of seed. This particular variety only gave me 15 seeds, right? But other varieties are giving me 50 seeds. So especially when you're trying to have a ground cover where you need a lot of plants, that was going to be too expensive. I could have bought some plants and tried to propagate them through division, but I'm like a plant lust person. I like to try all the different varieties, so this is the way I ended up deciding to do it. Alright, so the first 12 are planted. Okay, here's my next variety. This is Yellow Wonder, which is a yellow Alpine strawberry, and I'm just showing this to you because I wanted you to be able to see. I'm not sure what the right focal distance is. This is a picture of what the berries look like, and I would say those look pretty big. I'm not sure if it's magnified at all, but you know, that's pretty big for an Alpine strawberry. But these yellow ones are great because they don't get as much interest from the birds. Also, you'll notice that there are no green caps on these strawberries. Generally, Alpine strawberries are harvested and are ripe. One of the ways you tell that they're ripe is when they easily separate from the caps and you leave the caps on the plant. So anyway, that's what they're going to look like, and that actually, it's kind of an open wound, and it's going to make them start drying out quickly. So these don't have a long shelf life, but just so you know, that's what the yellow ones look like. There we go. Okay, the third variety we're planting is this one. It's a musk strawberry, Fregraria moschata. Not sure how my Latin pronunciation is there. But musk strawberries, this is 1/10 of a gram, so let's see. It's I'm trying to line this up for you. Significantly more seeds. It looks like closer to 100 seeds or something like that. But musk strawberries need to have a male and a female. The females are the ones that give fruit, but the males need to be around for pollination. So you need to have both varieties, and this mix of seeds is expected to have primarily females, but enough males mixed in to get the job done. Okay, here we are. We've got all of them planted, and I'm just going to see if I can point out any seeds that you could, like right here, where are we? Right here are 3 seeds. So you can see how small they are. Here's a seed. That white one. They're very small, and here's one. I just kind of drop them onto the soil. Now we're going to water them in and put on the lid. You could sprinkle some sand or something over it if you needed to do that, but in general they need to have some light, and as long as they don't dry out, they're going to be okay. Okay, so I'm going to give these a light watering as directed by the seed packet. I'm a little nervous because I don't want to wash the seeds too far down, but we want each one to be moist, and this watering will probably help the seeds settle and make contact with the soil so that they can stay moist after they're in here. Each square is really filling up with water when I do this, so that makes me think that the water table is already kind of high from the water down below. I don't want to fill them too high and float the water over the side and actually wash the seeds into a different cell. So then we would get our varieties mixed up. I'm going to go a little faster. I'm probably putting in a little too much water in some of these. If you have too much water and too much moisture after the seeds have started to sprout, you can get rot and fungal problems. So make sure you're keeping an eye on them. They can take up to a month to germinate, but most of them should germinate faster than that, in a week or two. We'll see what my actual experience is. These are going to be in a nice warm place. You want to keep them someplace where the temperature is between about 60 and 75. So it's possible they could get a little too warm in my window, but I have a grow light on order. I'll let you know when I get that, and we can maybe switch over to that. But now we're just going to pop on the lid, and this is going to be like a little miniature greenhouse. It looks like it sort of sets on top. It doesn't seem to be snapping on, but that should be plenty to keep the humidity inside here for the next month or so while these grow. I'm going to go put them in a sunny windowsill, and I hope to check back and let you know when they've started to sprout. Thanks for joining me and learning more about growing your own alpine strawberries from home. I think it's a fun and tasty way to grow plants. So check in, subscribe to the channel, and we'll make sure you get the updates. Take care. Okay, one more thing in the interest of full disclosure. This is where I'm actually putting the seeds. This is a windowsill. We've got a tree back there on the north side of the house, so it's not super sunny. We're not going to get tomatoes to grow to fruit here, but I wanted to show you these little basil sprouts my kiddos grew. These came, it's a peat pot mix with a little greenhouse lid, exactly the same as we're doing with the strawberries, but in miniature, and the basil seeds were just planted on the top of the surface of the soil, just like we did with the strawberries, and now after a week or so they're doing great. This one, I think this was a seed or a cluster of seeds that got a little moldy or something, so I'm not sure. I should probably remove that, but you can see that they're very healthy and they just have the same sunny windowsill. So I'll keep you posted. We should see some humidity start to form in here, and that'll let us know that the plants have plenty of moisture.